Evening all. Stephen here, speaking to you from my living room, London in the UK. Smoking my joint favourite pipe, my Beerbeard. You don't get many surprises with me pipe-wise. Although we'll have a new one soon, a new pipe for me soon, which I should be showing off. And in it, smoking some Germain's Rich Dark Flake, which I've had aging in a jar for quite a few weeks now. It's not quite dried out enough, but that's me. Happy Friday evening. Good health, and may the wind at your back never be your own. Quick check-in. Hope you all had a good week. This is the only video I'll be able to do this weekend. So just wanted to say hello. See how everyone is. Hope you're all safe. Those of you that live in areas suffering rather unpleasant weather conditions at the moment. Maybe Derek Tant down in Texas. And Smoking Rooster in Southern California. I think it's Southern California anyway. Put up a video earlier. He's got a river running down his street. Rather puts our weather here into perspective. And of course people that live in areas of the world that are suffering other kinds of catastrophic circumstances at the moment, like pipes and music down in Venezuela. I hope it all works out. I had a bit of a catastrophic evening myself this evening. Something happened almost too horrific to contemplate. I couldn't find my mobile phone. Oh. I've become so... It's not like I spend a lot of time looking at my phone, but I am so web dependent, for a start. But also I don't have a landline. All I have is my mobile. And as I live on my own, if I can't find the thing, I don't have a phone to call it, to hear it ring and locate it. I don't have anyone else here that I can ask to call it, to find it. And I can't call anyone or text anyone to ask them to call it for me to find it. My blood pressure was going bing, 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 bing. And in the end, because I was tearing around the house looking everywhere, I went down to the car and it was on the seat, the driver's seat. It had slipped out of my pocket. The relief when I found it, when I saw it there. Well, it was twofold, because not only had I found it, but if I hadn't gone down there and looked and hadn't found it, where I live, someone would have had the car window in and stolen it, and so I'd have had a stolen phone and a smashed car window to boot. So, it's here. I think I might have to have it tethered to my arm. Enjoying a bit of the old swing music. It's foot tapping music, isn't it? This is a box set of vinyl albums that I bought when off eBay when I got my turntable back. It's got Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington, Artie Shaw, the whole works on it, Tommy Dorsey. Great stuff. So what have I been up to? Not a lot. It's been a pretty miserable time, personally speaking. Not in relation to, you know, in comparison with other people's real world problems. Once again, pretty minor, but I mentioned before, my girls went to Paris last week with their mother and her new partner. So apart from exchanging pleasantries with other dog walkers or people that serve you in shops, I haven't spoken to anyone for 2 weeks. Apart from myself. I do that quite a lot. I do worry that I'm cracking up. I talk to Ziggy, but you know, he's a bit of an introvert. He doesn't answer. Plays his cards close to his chest. So, yeah, I always thought of myself as someone that could tolerate my own company and living alone, but you know, when you go days at a time without speaking to anyone, seeing anyone or speaking to anyone, you really do realise how much we need that interaction with other people. No matter how introverted you might think you are, and I'm always considered myself a lifelong introvert, you've got to connect. You have to communicate. That's what makes us human. And isolation, with our ageing population here in the UK, social isolation is a big problem. And it's something that worries me a bit. Cheers. Another major problem has been that my supermarket has stopped selling my favourite beer. What am I going to do? This beer that I'm drinking now, it's a beer that, you know, occasionally I drink back in the 70s. McEwen's Export. It's not great. Well, at the moment it's the closest I can come to my beloved Wadworth 6X, which I can't get anymore. So that's my big problems. No one to talk to, and drinking beer that I can't get my favourite beer, and lost my mobile. Oh, the humanity. On a plus note, I've had 2 bits of good news. I'm a huge fan of Tom Waits, musician. Have been for 40 years. I think the man's a poet and an personally an absolute genius. I've only seen him play live once, that was 30 years ago, because he doesn't tour nowadays. But I've got absolutely everything that he's ever legitimately recorded. And I've even got some bootlegs of live performances. And had practically the full catalogue of his music. But the one thing I hadn't got was the soundtrack he did to a film, a Jim Jarmusch film called Night on Earth. And it only crops up now and again rarely on the web and goes for pretty big money. And then I was just happened to be searching on eBay and I got it. Brand new, shrink wrapped. Listen to it tonight, arrived today, listen to it tonight, fantastic. So My Tom Waits collection is just about complete now. If you're not listening to Tom, well, he's a bit of an acquired taste, I suppose, but I mean, I've loved him all the way for the past 40 years, back from, you know, he's changed so much. He's an artist that has developed all the time, never stops developing, and I'm really made up about getting that. And my other bit of good news is a book. I read quite a lot, not as much as I used to, but you know, I've always been a fairly heavy reader. And there's a book that I've known about for years because it's, you know, very, very highly regarded. But never bought it. You know, oh, I might get round to it one day, you know, but there's so many other things I wanted to read and sort of never really got round to it. And 3 years ago, I had my ex-wife and my 2 daughters over for Christmas dinner. I cooked them Christmas dinner here. And because me and my ex were seeing each other at Christmas, on Christmas Day, we exchanged gifts. Just small things, you know, nothing big. Token gifts. And she gave me a couple of things, and she gave me this book. And the reason that she bought it was her new partner, it was his favourite book. As I say, I'd known about it for a long time, but I hadn't read it. And ever since she gave it to me, it's just been stuck up in my bedroom. I've got a pile of books up there that occasionally I dip into. But I hadn't read this. And then Johan, the Mindful Pipe, was doing a VR to the Bumbling Piper about his favourite book a week or 2 back. And this was his favourite book. Mikhail Bulgakov, The Master and Margarita. And Johan was telling about how it's his favourite, and I'd still got it upstairs. And I came to the end of a book that I was reading. So I thought, give it a go. Only a couple of days ago and I'm halfway through. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is about this book that is amazing, but it is. I mean, I've always had an attraction for writers from the Soviet era, the USSR. But this is something else entirely, and of course, although it reflects the situation in Stalinist Russia, it's amazing, absolutely incredible. So Johan, thank you very much. You finally got me to read it. And thanks to my ex-wife and her new boyfriend for buying it for me. Highly recommended. I must say, I don't read as much as I used to. I used to read all the time. I just devour books. But something about, you know, my frame of mind since I ended up living on my own. You sort of, and Johan will relate to this, especially with the depression. One of the knock-on effects of your depression is you just can't be bothered. And with me, I just couldn't be bothered to read anymore. So I effectively have to force myself to pick up a book and read it. But when you get one like that, every so often, doesn't happen all that often, I've picked up some and struggled and put them down again. But when it all comes together and you pick up one that you just really gels with you, then you can just lose yourself for hours just reading, because it takes you away. It takes you away to a world inside your head. Better than the real world. I better call it a day now. 15 minutes gone already. I'll go on and on. But my girls are coming tomorrow. So I'll be killing the fatted calf. Cooking them a dinner. Catch up with them and have a good time. So, makes me think of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I used to love those films. Here in the UK, in the Sunday afternoon, always used to be. This is way before 24-hour television, and you know. And on Sunday afternoons, always used to be the time for old films. So many fantastic films I remember when I was about, you know, just growing up, that have stuck with me. Ace in the Hole with Kirk Douglas, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and the Fred Astaire films, and all manner of other classics that they just don't make them like that anymore. But now I'm starting to sound like a real boring old fart. So I better love you and leave you, because I've bored you long enough. It's nearly 17 minutes. The days of romance. Bye bye all. I'm going to go off and lose myself. Take care everyone, and I'll speak to you again as soon as I can. Ta-da.